What's good, everybody? Looks like we're all in the same wavelengths today. The sourdough, the sourdough sad squad is in the building representing. It's good as always to see the whole crew already waiting. And like I said, it looks like we're clearly on the same wavelengths here. Obviously, we're known throughout the nation as being one of the most optimistic groups out there right now. But I think today's a good day. I think today's a good day to just kind of enjoy the pain and console each other. Not enjoy the pain, but just console each other. Talk about the issues and why there's issues because that's all you can do after a loss. That's all you can do after a season that seemingly feels like it's spiraling down the toilet. It's absolutely bad. It's absolutely bad. But it is fantastic to see all the family in here. Um, and let's start with some of the worst news, right? So for me, this was tough. This had me tilting. I've had to walk back a lot of tweets. Like I've almost sent some crazy stuff today, and I just had to like take a couple deep breaths. Just hit instead of hitting send, I've been hitting drafts because it's just one of those days, man. It's just one of those days. But the worst thing, not the worst thing, there's so many worse things, but let's just talk about the issues. Let's talk about why we're here. Let's talk about how we move forward. Let's just talk. This is going to be a venting session. We're going to we're going to air our grievances. And we'll see where it takes us. But I think we're all on the same page that we all feel sad. We're all sad. You could be angry, you could be upset, but there's a lot of emotions. And right now, we're looking like the sourdough sad squad, and that's okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. I'm sad. I'm upset. Um, for me, it's absolutely terrible what happened to Mike McGlinchey to tear the quad for a big man like that. Man, I'm feeling for him because still, even having the year that he's had, the immense progression he has shown from 2020 to 2021, it goes unnoticed. And I think what also is triggering for me today is to see all these beat reporters dropping stats about how limited of pressures Mike McGlinchey's given up, limited sacks, all these stats basically being like, yeah, Mike McGlinchey's good. And I'm like, so really, it really took losing Mike McGlinchey for the year for all these reporters to stand up and say, "Yeah, Mike is actually doing good this year." Like that was, I think, probably the most triggering thing for me personally. As you guys know, I've been on that front line defending Mike McGlinchey, defending his progress, defending his technique, and how he's attacked his technique and improved as a result. In the offseason, we've been able to indicate what he struggled with, what he's worked on, and how it's gotten better. We've used film to study and reference, but it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it takes him going down for the year for people to finally like be like, yeah, Mike actually had a good year this year. It's actually playing pretty well. And you guys saw what happened, man. You saw what happened when Tom Compton came in. It was immediate drop. Like it was like we didn't have a right tackle basically. Um, you even saw Brunskill selling out completely, throwing his body sideways to try to help Tom Compton, who got beat on an inside move. McGlinchey or Brunskill's like, I'll do anything to stop this guy from getting by Compton. Like, it was not good. It was not good. And again, that's why we put an emphasis so highly on offensive line. And we lift up offensive linemen when they're performing well. A lot of people are like, you just gas him up. I'm like, no, this dude took massive steps from 2020 to 2021. Insane. And there's still room. There was still room to get better. And he was still, dealing with that maturation process of becoming that technique that you want to be and getting away from what you don't want to be. So that's the biggest thing is that McGlinchey was having a really solid year. And he goes down for the year. Tom Compton comes in, and he is not the answer. I was extremely upset when the 49ers kept Tom Compton on the final 53. It was a complete waste of a roster spot, in my opinion. Um, Obviously, they felt differently. They liked his versatility. They said that he performed well in camp. But it's Tom Compton, man. Like, I get it. At the end of the day, he's a journeyman. He's a veteran. He's a guy who's going to know what he's supposed to do. But the problem with Tom Compton is that he just has a hard time executing what he's supposed to do. Um, and to kind of continue that conversation, like, everyone should expect Tom Compton coming in that situation. Tom Compton is the right tackle, the backup right tackle for this team, has been that since the first day of training camp. Everyone's like, why didn't Jalen Moore go in? Why didn't Jalen Moore go in? Jalen Moore has not played right tackle for the 2021 San Francisco 49ers. And that goes back to training camp. He was a left tackle the entirety of camp, the entirety of preseason, and throughout the year. Guess what he was in college? He was a left tackle. Guess what he probably was in high school? Probably a left tackle. So his entire technique, footwork, everything is ingrained to be on the left. So for him to move over to the right, he needs some reps. So I imagine he'll start at right tackle this week. It's so much pain, Ego. So much damn pain. I can't even stand it. But the thing is, with the guy who hasn't got the reps on the right side, it is not easy to flip. It's not easy to flip offensive linemen. Again, why is it Aaron Banks having a seamless transition? Because he plays left guard his entire life. And now you're trying to put him on the right guard, and he's got to completely flip his technique and everything that he's been ingrained in his brain to not even think about. He's got to retool and rewire his brain to be able to work to the right side, because everything changes. You go from left foot back, right foot forward if you're on the left side, and left foot or left hand in the dirt. If you're on the right side, it's right foot back, left foot forward, right hand in the dirt. You're completely switched. Everything switches, which means your technique flips. Like, it's hard. It doesn't become hard when you've done it. I was a left guard, right guard, center. Those were my positions, and I could play all three equally the same because I repped it that way. I repped being a left guard, I repped being a center, and I repped being a right guard. So when it was time to move me around everywhere, it wasn't a problem because I've done it. Jalen Moore has not done it yet, so he needs to rep it. He's gonna be better. He's 100% better than Tom Compton, but he doesn't have the experience on the right side. And so that unfortunately comes with being a young player. So I imagine Jalen Moore will get the start at right tackle. Tom Compton is not the answer. But just like I've said this on Twitter too, with that, you need to expect a couple more struggles, a couple more step backs, things like that, because again, you're flipping your technique, everything is opposite and backwards to you. So there might be some miscues that come with that, but it doesn't change the fact that at the end of the day, Jalen Moore is the better tackle than Tom Compton. So hopefully that's what we see moving forward. Um, but again, at the end of the day, it's a tough loss, man, to lose McGlinchey. Again, I know a lot of fans, I've seen some of the responses. It is what it is. But as someone who values offensive line, understands offensive line, knows how to evaluate it, knows it all. Um, it's a tough loss. But at the end of the day, the season is a tough loss, right? So let's get into the game. Let's get into this off season, because this is, like I said, this is a venting session. We're gonna kind of go through the ringer a little bit. We're gonna look at everything. Um, it's there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on right now. Um, so essentially, what it comes down to, though, is the 49ers have now lost five of their last six? Is that what it is? Um, and they've lost these games in the most uninspiring ways. Absolutely poor energy, poor execution, poor discipline, no identity, no consistent anything. And again, we've talked about this all year. Talked about this all year coming from the offensive side of the football. When you have a head coach, offensive coordinator in his fifth year, a veteran quarterback in his fourth year in the system, a veteran offensive line, good weapons on the outside, uh, George Kittle when he's available, and regardless of the loss at the running back position, again, they should still be able to operate somewhat well, somewhat well. But again, what we've talked about all year on this channel is that all these issues go back to Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo. We can talk about the defense, we can talk about their miscues, but at the same time, we also understand they're hurt. They've got Josh Norman out there, man. Josh Norman is the biggest scrub I've ever seen put on a 49er jersey since Anthony Davis decided to come back for his comeback tour in 2016. I have never wanted somebody off this damn team more than that scrub in 2016. Never. And until that moment where he started getting in Tavon Wilson's face, I said, "Nah, bruh. Nah, you're done. Go sit on." I was like, "Go into the locker room." If you were on the live with me, I said, "Go into the locker room, go clean out your stuff. Like, don't even come back out on the field. Like, your time here is done. Like, it's officially over. You are officially no longer wanted here." Um, so that was just, it's like basically like pouring like alcohol on an open wound, it just freaking hurts. It's just more, more crap. Um, we'll get into this. We'll get into this in a little bit. I kind of want to work up to the quarterback situation, because I think I felt this way the entire offseason. I felt this way the entire offseason. The issues here are with Kyle the coach versus Kyle the GM. That's the issue here. We've seen it. I was at camp. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what are we doing? For me, as a football guy, I like to consider myself a football guy. I'm not a media guy, even though I know how to do that stuff. I know how to make content. I know how to edit videos. I have a creative mind. Like, that's part of it. But at the end of the day, I still think I'm a football guy. I haven't played at the level of the NFL, but I played for a long time. I went through the entire playing experience, wanting to be a coach, evaluating players. That's how I went about it. So I use all of that to help me. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was going on this offseason. I didn't understand when I was at camp. I didn't understand. I didn't understand why they used Trey Lance the way that he did. And Mike Silver put out an article about it today, basically saying that Trey Lance came out really strong. The coaching staff felt like he grasped the playbook and was performing well, and then seemingly lost confidence. That seems to be a common theme with this group. Confidence, right? It seems to Brandon Ayuk lost confidence. Trey Lance lost confidence. Jimmy Garoppolo's lost confidence. Mike McGlinchey lost confidence in 2020. There's a lot of players that lose confidence around here, and it's getting to the point where it's a little bit concerning. Who said that? That was Mike Silver, NFL reporter, who had said that, and it kind of matches what I saw at practice when I covered camp, because I was there the first 2 day of pads as well. I was there. I watched it with my own eyes. I watched Trey Lance the very first day of padded practice demolish Jimmy. Just demolish Jimmy, a 21-year-old that had 6 practices under his belt up until that point, that were non-padded, come out in his first padded practice and demolish Jimmy Garoppolo in every aspect, running the football, throwing the football, making plays. It was unbelievable. That first day of padded practice, that was the day that Jimmy Garoppolo, I took the video of Jimmy Garoppolo staying after practice and sadly working on the deep ball and running sprints by himself. Um, you felt the energy, and it felt like everything was like a landslide towards Trey Lance. The second day, Wednesday, this was the day that Mike Silver is talking about when he was at practice. Wednesday was an even better day for Trey Lance. The second day of padded practice. This was the day that they decided to take Daniel Brunskill, who was the starting right guard up until that point all throughout camp, and they played him primarily with the second unit as a second unit center because Jake Brendel up until that point hadn't been doing well. That was at that point when the defensive line was just demolishing the 49ers second team unit in practice. And that Wednesday, when the entire NFL network was there, all the national reporters were there, Mike Silver, everyone from MMQB, I think even Barstool was there. Like that was a media day. It was a media showcase. And Trey Lance comes out and has a day. Again, demolishes Jimmy for the second day in a row in regards to just overall performance at practice. And again, they moved Brunskill to center for that day only. Had Trey Lance had his best day of practice. Then the very next day, they moved Brunskill back to right guard. Brunskill never takes another snap at second string center the rest of camp. That offense that Trey Lance was balling out in that Tuesday and Wednesday of padded practice, we never saw that again. We never saw that again. The rest of camp, I think there's 2 weeks left of camp. We never saw it again. And they handcuffed him and then had him operate this Jimmy offense that was completely different than they operated on the first 2 days of practice, the padded practice, and that was it. And then now we're getting reports now that Trey Lance has lost his confidence. Well, it's really easy to see why Trey Lance would lose your confidence. I would lose my confidence too if I went out and balled and I got handcuffed as a result. They said, "No, you're playing too well. You're playing too well. We're actually going to make it a lot harder for you to play well because we have Jimmy here, and I don't know. We're trying to do something with Jimmy. What it was, I will never know. Um, but it again highlights the weirdness of this offseason. It started the first 2 days I showed up. It started the first 2 days I showed up to training camp, and I'm just like, what are we watching? Like, I've watched a lot of football practice. I've been in a lot of football practices. I am I am used to being on the football field. The football field to me is home. I understand what they're doing in individual drills. I understand what they're doing in one-on-ones. I understand what they're doing in 7-on-7s versus 9-on-7s and blitz pickup. I understand what they're doing in team periods, scout teams. I get it. I understand the entire complexity of what practice is. I didn't understand what the 49ers were doing. I tried to wrap my head around it. I tried to compartmentalize all these different scenarios, and nothing makes sense. And it still doesn't make sense this far down the road. And again, the reason why I'm talking about this and bringing this back up is because that's where I feel like the problems started. That's where I feel like everything started was in this offseason with the quarterback controversy, constantly trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's name is constantly in the news for potentially being a target to move, or the 49ers are interested in X quarterback. And guess what happened every single time a report came out? Oh, the 49ers might be interested in Sam Darnold. What happened? Every single one of those leaders went into the media, whether it was Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Trent Williams, just to come out and tell you that Jimmy Garoppolo is the leader in that locker room. Every single time throughout that offseason, when they talked about another quarterback and one of these guys was forced to go on a radio show, forced to do an NFL network appearance, that's what they talked about. They talked about Jimmy, and they talked about how Jimmy is the leader and how they got Jimmy's back and Jimmy this and Jimmy that. And it's just like, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just weird. It was a weird situation. And I feel like there's been a lot of carryover of awkwardness as a result because I try to remind fans of this all the time is that this football is so the human element of football is so insanely important. That's why having motivational leaders in your locker room is insanely important. Again, go back to 2019. What did we hear nonstop about that team and why how special it was and why they were so good? They were not like talent wise, they were okay. They had some spots that needed like wide receiver wise. Who was their wide receivers at that point? Running back wise, it was like, man, what do we really got? Like offensive line wise, it's like, okay, so we're all right. Their defense was phenomenal. That was the unit that really shined. But again, everything just seemingly felt like it unraveled this offseason because again, just like the 2019 example, the locker room, they just talked about it all the time. This locker room special. These guys are special. We have each other's back in this locker room. We play for each other. Again, that's the human element. And the human element is so important. And clearly the the 49ers were toying and doing something with the leader of their locker room at that point. At least into this year with Garoppolo and all that good stuff. Because this situation here, again, this is the QB chart that I made for fun because in January, right, we were talking about Deshaun Watson. We were talking about Matthew Stafford. Um, over here, we were talking about all these different quarterbacks. Again, we went through the ringer this offseason. Those players saw it. Those players follow me on Instagram. They interact with my page. They look at all my stories. They see all the things that I'm posting. They see all the quarterback rumors. They see everything that we're talking about. And again, those guys all throughout the year had to keep coming out all offseason to defend this guy all year, all off season. After each one of these guys got added to the list, it was like clockwork. A player was asked about this situation. Is it Jimmy? Is it another guy? Every single time, it's Jimmy. It's Jimmy. It's Jimmy. After a while, I think that's gonna wear on your guys. I think that's gonna tax your guys. And again, Kyle Shanahan, he has no buffer. He's the general manager. He is the head coach. There's no middle ground. Like Kyle can't come out and say like, "Listen, Jimmy's our guy" to the locker room. He can't say that because he's the one out here trying to trade Jimmy all offseason or trying to trade for a starting quarterback. He's out there in the media like so I just want everyone to recognize how unfortunate this offseason was for this team. Yes, they landed Trey Lance. They got some draft picks that look like they could be good, some that we're not really sure about. They added some good free agents, but at the end of the day, the issue is surrounding the quarterback position and who? Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. That's where that's where it starts and stops, to be perfectly honest. Um, I mean, what did hold on a sec. Can we revolt? It kind of feels like a lot of the fan base has done that. You can do whatever you want, man. I'm not gonna start the I'm not gonna start that movement, but we can air out our grievances. We can talk about again, that's what happens when you lose. When you lose, you get people like me trying to pick it apart and understand why this occurred. Why did this happen? Why are they losing? Why can't they get it out of their own way? Why can't they put one foot in front of the other? Why can't they add 1 + 1 and make it equal 2? Why can't they do that? And people keep coming back to, or I keep coming back to the human element of football. and why it is struggling. And I think this is it. I think this offseason, the tumultuous nature of it, how it impacted every player in that locker room, them having to deal with it for months and months and months because it was which starting quarterback are we trading for versus, okay, they trade the future to get a rookie. Okay, which rookie are we getting? Like that locker room on offense, who considers Jimmy Garoppolo their leader, their quarterback, their guy. That's their guy. That is their dude. They have his back, and I really believe at this point, based on everything that I've seen, they have Jimmy Garoppolo's back much more than they have Kyle Shanahan's back. I put a tweet out this because I don't feel the same energy reciprocated for Kyle Shanahan. I really feel like you'll hear these players defend their own. They'll defend their guys. They'll defend their quarterback. They'll defend and really stand up for Jimmy. Have we seen them do that for Kyle Shanahan? No, they haven't. They haven't. And so when your entire locker room, including your defensive leaders like Fred Warner, again, we have insight from guys that are starters on this team that play defense that got Jimmy's back to the death of them. Like we've poked and we've prodded and we've like, really? Like Jimmy? And they're like, yep, Jimmy's the guy. Again, these are defensive players. And, defense and offense, they're siloed. They're really kind of like two individual teams, obviously merge and they intertwine. But when they're doing their stuff, they are siloed other than playing against each other, all meetings and everything. It's like it's basically like the offense is its own team. Defense is kind of like its own team. So everyone's got Jimmy's back. So imagine that. Everyone in this locker room's got Jimmy Garoppolo's back throughout this entire experience. And then we're trying to understand, like, why is there no continuity? Why is there no rhythm? Why is there no it just feels disjointed, right? Well, the human element of this team has got to be disjointed. It has to be. I'm just going to call you SC, my guy. SC says, free inside story. Jimmy was going to the Washington football team at the trade deadline, but the Washington football team basically said they'll wait until he's released in the offseason to sign him. Yeah, I've heard a bunch of that as well. I've heard Jimmy, in my opinion, kind of alluded and to and admitted, without admitting, that he was a part of some trade talks at the deadline. Well, that's always going to be speculation at this point. But that's kind of what it feels like has been going on for a lot of the offseason. So basically what it comes down to is I think there's a fractured relationship, and rightfully so. A fractured relationship between Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan. And unfortunately, when the entire locker room rallies around Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a tough sell, man. How do you overcome that? How do you overcome your entire locker room being for the guy that you've been trying to get rid of for the better part of a year? And in my opinion, when he's the leader, he's the quarterback, everything goes through Jimmy. It just feels like there would be some disjointed energy, all that kind of stuff. So again, I knew this. I've been around football long enough to understand this concept. I knew this was coming. I mean, I didn't want to believe it was coming. I didn't want to give it energy. I didn't want to give it anything, but I could sense it. I could sense it after watching training camp. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense just from like, hey, this is football. You compete, best man wins. Like back in the day, like at least when I played, obviously I'm not making, I wasn't making millions of dollars. There was no nothing like that. No agents, nothing. We're just playing. Is best man, you compete, best man wins. Doesn't feel like that was the case this offseason. Because like I said, it felt like Trey Lance was the best quarterback on that field the first 2 days of padded practice, and they completely shut him down. I'll never understand that. And to hear now that Trey Lance has lost his confidence, like you're just like, dude, what are we doing? And the whole reason why I wrote about, like in January, the 49ers need to cut Jimmy Garoppolo, or they just need to ensure that if they do get another quarterback, that they don't go into camp with Jimmy and a new quarterback. That to me is a disaster because again, the whole locker room is for Jimmy, but you bring in another guy that is clearly the guy of the future. You see what happens with the fan base. Fan base doesn't even know who to root for. We're like, Jimmy, but Trey, but Jimmy played okay. He's not the reason why, but Trey, like, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation, man. And I really feel like it all comes back to this offseason, comes back to the management of this offseason, again, the tumultuous nature of the offseason surrounding the leader of your locker room. And then keeping him. Um, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just weird. It was weird then. It's still weird to me now. That will never shake me. How they managed this offseason will never shake me. I think this will stay with me as long as I cover the 49ers, as long as I talk about football. This offseason will never shake me. I'll never understand it unless I'm sitting face to face with Kyle Shanahan and said, dude, what were you trying to do? Like, we know what you did was, there's a lot of what you did was for appearance, but strip away the appearance, strip away the politics. What were you trying to do this offseason? Like, you guys had meetings and plan? Like, what was the situation with Jimmy Garoppolo? What were we trying to do? Because that feels where it's disjointed. So, and this is what scares me. This is what scares me about the future of this team. What scares me about the future of this team is that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be here next year. We know that he's not going to be here next year. That's why he played the way he did during training camp. He had the best. Everyone keeps saying Jimmy Garoppolo had the best training camp of his career. Again, I can't speak to that because I've never covered training camp other than this year. So I have nothing to reference. I have no reference points to be like, yeah, he's taken huge steps from last year's training camp or 2019's. I have no idea. I have no idea. All I could see is what I saw from Jimmy Garoppolo um, this year, and I just saw a guy trying not to make mistakes. I saw a guy trying not to make mistakes. I saw a guy trying not to throw the picks. I saw a guy trying not to push the ball deep. Um, and that's the environment that's fostered when the guy that's going to replace Jimmy at any moment is on the roster. That's what happens when you trot out Jimmy Garoppolo down the field against the Detroit Lions for the very first drive. You get into scoring position, you take Jimmy Garoppolo out, you bring the rookie in, the rookie throws a touchdown. You're like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, and Jimmy's got to come out after the fact and be like, yeah, that really sucked for me. That really hurt to be able to drive the team all the way down the field, and then they take you out for the young kid who's going to come replace me anyway. Like, again, there's a reason why we haven't seen the dual quarterback system since that game, because it is exactly what it is. It is stupid. It is stupid on so many levels, because even if there was no drama, even if there was no trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo for the last 6 months, even if that didn't happen and everything was all good and Jimmy and Trey are best friends and they're working together and all this good stuff and there's no drama, it's still stupid. I am not a two quarterback guy. It doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. And but like I said, that was without the drama. Now add the drama. Now have it saturated with drama. Saturated with drama. And then you do that? Like what? What? Like, and that's what scares me about Kyle. It's like any person with a shred of emotional intelligence, especially when it comes to football, which you need a lot of. Breaking news, guys. To be a coach in 2021, you need to be very good with psychology. You need to be very good with emotional intelligence. You need to figure out how to motivate people in 2021. You don't just tell people, "Hey, do this job this way, the way I want it, or you're never going to play again." Look at Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon just eradicated the 49ers from his entire social media. This dude's a rookie. This dude's a rookie. You traded up into the third round to go get Trey Sermon. This dude has eradicated the 49ers from all his social media. You want to know why he's done that? Because how he's been managed. Now, are there things that are going on outside of that situation? Maybe. All right. So we got some news here. David Lombardi just tweeted Mohamed Sanu will be out for a while with a knee sprain. Tavon Wilson will be out for a while with a foot injury. My God. What is happening here? What is actually happening here? So that just came in. More injuries for the 49ers. Does that mean? My goodness, man. When it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. So it looks like Mohamed Sanu is going to be out for an extended period of time, as well as Tavon Wilson. So we're on to our third string safety guy. Cue the music of awesomeness. Absolutely terrible. Hold on a second. I think Kyle's speaking right now. I'm trying to see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I might just pull it up for all of us to listen to, but let's see here. I think the 49ers have gotten it smart and they've kind of stopped at least like right now. They're I don't think they're broadcasting Kyle's press conference, because if you go to those comments um on their lives, it is brutal to read. So hold on one second here while I look for something. But yeah, it appears that the 49ers are down multiple players again. Mike McGlinchey, Mohamed Sanu, and Tavon Wilson. So not a good Monday to be a 49ers fan. It really, really is not. So pain, right? All we know is pain. All we know is pain. Pain is all we know. Sad boy hours, the sourdough sad squad. Uh even more better news, guys. Jalen Hurd is not expected to return this year. What? I feel like this is a joke. I feel like this is a sad, cruel, unusual punishment right now. What the hell is going on? All right, so there you have it. No Jalen Hurd. Goodbye. There's 3 years in a row. Jalen Hurd does not exist for the San Francisco 49ers. However, he made the roster over other people, which makes no freaking sense to me. But hey, nothing makes sense to me that the 49ers have done this year, and is again another reason why they find themselves in this position, spiraling out of control, because nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. Make it make sense, please. Make it make sense. They can't. And that's a problem. The problem here is they can't make it make sense without taking full responsibility of completely taking ownership of screwing up the situation. That's the hardest part. It's like, I think they know. I think they know how royally bad they screwed up this situation, the offseason. Clearly the trickle down effect that it's had into the season. It's not good. It is not good. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible. So hold on a second, guys. I'm gonna try to get some posts out, and then we'll get back to the ranting because I'm extra level of hyped up now. Now I'm extra level hyped up now because McGlinchey's out, Sanu's out, Tavon Wilson is out, Jalen Hurd is never to be seen from again because that guy's allergic to the football field. And I love Jalen Hurd. I'm not trying to bag on him. I'm frustrated, clearly. I am clearly frustrated with what the hell is going on. Yeah, they're saying Tavon Wilson is likely to end up on IR. So I would imagine the same for Mohamed Sanu if it is something serious. Um, God, what a disaster! What a disaster this year is turning out to be. Sheesh. All right, let me get my posts out, guys. I'm sorry, trying to multitask here. Um, Let me multitask, get these posts out, and then we'll pick back up the discussion here. Because man, that's tough. 49ers keep dropping like flies. I really feel like at this point, man, you guys tell me in the chat. You guys tell me in the chat. Does this feel like the end? Does this feel does this feel like the end? Like I'm not one to fire coaches or staffs or whatever. Like I like to give people the benefit of the doubt because I know these are so complex. There's so many layers to these things. But does it feel like the end? Like this couldn't like this is probably the worst Monday that could have occurred after that type of loss. Like, are you kidding me? We just put like a quarter of our roster on IR damn near. Hold on one sec. 49ers, Tavon Wilson, and Mohamed Sanu are expected to miss a decent amount of time due to injury. Amount of time due to injury. Kyle Shanahan doesn't expect Jalen Hurd to return. I can't believe I'm typing this right now. Kyle Shanahan doesn't expect Jalen Hurd to return in 2021. 3 years that Jalen Hurd. I, it's wild to me, man. It's I've never seen a player. I've never seen a player consistently to be on a team for 3 years and not play. Like what? Oh, this is spicy. This is a little spicy. Um, so I put out a tweet earlier today. I said the 49ers have gotten a bit let me restart. The 49ers would have gotten a bigger boost from Richard Sherman coaching DBs on the sideline than having Josh Norman play actual games. Fred Warner's dad just liked that tweet. What a day, man. What a day. Uh Oh, good. Good to know, Kyle. Kyle is going on to say that they have no intention of cutting Josh Norman after that play. God, why can't you do anything that anyone wants you to do, Kyle? At a certain point, start politicking for your job. Like your job, like what is happening? So according to Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers are not not anticipating cutting Josh Norman. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want anyone cut. I don't want anyone cut. I don't cut players. I don't come for players' heads. That's not my vibe. That's not my brand. It's not I'm a player advocate. Like I say that out loud. I like to speak as much as I can from their perspective because a lot of media don't have football experience and they don't have that perspective. They've never been in a locker room and they don't know the dynamics of a locker room. They don't know. So I like to speak from that perspective. I wanted Josh Norman gone the second he did that. And Kyle's out here. Woo! What a day, guys. What a day. This is some serious stuff right now. This is a sad day. This is a sad day today. I hope we realize that. I hope we realize how sad today is. Like today's not a good day to be a Niner fan. Today's tough. Um Cap says Kyle and Jaw need to get out of the front office this season by taking accountability for their mistakes, move on from Jimmy and develop young players. Hell, I'm gonna go like it's crystal clear in my opinion that that John works for Kyle and it's not the other way around. Uh, Kyle has all the say in this organization. John works for Kyle, and I want to talk about this point, and again, which unfortunately points another negative back at Kyle Shanahan, but I think it again is on the same exact point of what we've been talking about, the same exact thing that we've been talking about. So I got done talking about the offseason, how I really am pointing to the offseason and just the sheer mismanagement of this offseason. Uh hold on one sec. Shanahan said plan that doesn't make sense. Okay, so basically, what Kyle Shanahan is saying is that the whole reason why they drafted Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore was not to start right away. It was to play behind Mosley, Williams, Verrett. Unfortunately, they weren't totally ready for it. Fifth round pick or third round pick, fifth round pick, and they weren't. Okay, so now he's God damn it, Kyle. Stop talking, bro. Kyle, just stop, man. And here we go. Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan says the 49ers won't be able to put a claim in for Odell Beckham Jr. for financial reasons. So now they're out on OBJ. Dude, stop talking. Someone from 49ers PR, get that mic and cut the line. Just cut it. Just cut it. Say, oh, sorry, we experienced a power outage here at Levi Stadium. We'll have to get Kyle Shanahan back to you at a different time. Stop talking, man. Just stop. Just stop. Like this is not the time. This is not the time. I don't care if it makes sense. We understand they were never going to claim him. It doesn't make sense. Absolutely. God, just stop, man. Just stop. Just stop, please. I don't want to see another quote come out of this, man. I don't want to see another quote come out of this. I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. Coach says, "Wake up." Major changes in coaching staff. Most injured team in the NFL last year. Tons of one-year deals. The blame game. Don't win games. I'm tired of gossip and overreactions. Ride or get out of the car. So basically, put up or shut up is what coach is saying, and that's exactly where we're at. And right now, ain't no one putting up nothing but a bunch of ugly ass football. That's all that's being put up right now. The only thing that is being put up by right now by this team is horrifying play. Like this is not quality football. This is not good on every level. Execution, player management, player personnel management. Like it is a disaster across the board. And the problem with that is who's in charge? Kyle. Kyle's in charge, man. Kyle is in charge. So what do we do? What do we do? Again, I'm not one to fire anyone. I'm not. It's not my vibe. But even now, like what are we doing? What are we saying? Just stop talking. Just put it out. Just put it out through the 49ers PR release or something. Like just I know it's kind of a function of his job and I'm allowing my emotions to take over a little bit, but golly, just give us a break. just we we've been through hell. We have been through freaking hell. This stop. Man. Oh God, man. This is what a day. What a day. I'm gonna remember this day for a long time. And not for good reasons. I'm gonna remember this day for a long time, and unfortunately, it's not for good reasons. This is a tough day, man. This is tough. It's tough on multiple levels because I think the most tough thing about it is the realization that this team ain't it. This team ain't it. It's not. They they have the potential to be it, but again, when you have severely, severely hindered your team from the human element side of it, what? All the talent on the team is not playing to the level that Kyle wants. So at the end of the day, that comes down to leadership, comes down to coaching, comes down to motivation. Again, I think what I was starting to talk about, I think I was starting to talk about, um, okay, okay. Here's a quote from Kyle Shanahan. I know a lot of people want to hear this. Kyle Shanahan on the 49ers continued failure to execute. Quote, failure of execution starts with me, Kyle Shanahan. So when plays don't work, no matter how it happens, it starts with the coaches. There's a ton of things I can do better. Okay, thank you. Do we feel better? I know a big critique I know a big critique of Kyle Shanahan has been him taking ownership of his issues. Because again, what do we keep talking about? We keep talking about how all these issues are created by Kyle Shanahan. So at least we have I know a lot of people want him to take accountability. So there do we like the does that help? Do we feel a little better? Chasing Gold says not too late. Yeah, it's hard to take accountability when the entire fan base is yelling at you to take accountability, and then you take accountability. Again, we know this is not Kyle's strong suit. I know for I at least I pride myself on being able to scout not only on the field, but scouting personality traits, scouting nonverbal communication. Because, like I've told you guys, I played football like that, like knowing I'm gonna have a career in football one day. And so while I'm watching every single one of my teammates and my coaches, I'm watching how they do it and why they do it and what works and what doesn't work and why that guy sucks and why that guy actually developed into be a good player and that guy did not develop into a good player and why he's good but he doesn't do anything well. And like I spent a lot of time focused on that. So I think it's all crystal clear. At the end of the day, this is a human game. This is played by humans. You have to be motivational. You have to be able to connect on the human element. You have to. You have to. And right now, it doesn't feel like that's happening. It really doesn't feel like that's happening. So we'll see. Oh, guys, we're gonna get through this. Remember, at the end of the day, we got to stick together. At the end of the day, we got to stick together. We got Oh man, it hurts. It really hurts. It really, really hurts. Again, what I was talking about before Kyle started speaking and we got some of the quotes. I was talking about someone said the 49ers need to like fire Kyle and John. But again, I think it's really important to remember that John is not Kyle's boss. Kyle is John's boss. And the reason why I think that's so impactful uh, oh, my bad. I did not see that. I did not. Sorry. I'm kind of in my own world. I'm trying to pick it up. If you want to run it through again, I'll pick it up. That's my bad, Nolan. I did not see it. That's my guy. I did not see it. I'll definitely get you if you want to get that one back. I'm sorry. I'm juggling emotions and I'm juggling quotes right now. Trust me, I did not mean to miss that, but I appreciate the donation regardless, Nolan. I really do. Um, Again, it's what I was talking about with the whole John Lynch situation. To me, what was so impactful, and it speaks to kind of about the leader that Kyle is, the fact that Kyle had to bring in John Lynch before the Chicago game and all the players reference John Lynch's speech as being a huge reason for motivation, to me, that is a massive red flag for Kyle Shanahan. Absolutely massive red flag into the thing that I've always questioned him about, the emotional intelligence, being an emotional leader, being able to connect with your players on an emotional level. That is so important to be a coach, especially in 2021. And so it was really impactful to me when 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 Bosa straight up said, you can go read the quote. Matt Mayoko put it out there. He interviewed Bosa. Bosa basically said, yeah, when you hear the same guy talking every single day, it kind of loses its impact. And you're just like, that's pretty interesting to hear from you, Bosa. It's pretty interesting to hear you flat out say, when Kyle Shanahan continues to speak time and time again, it loses its impact. Yet now, he was talking about the John Lynch speech. John Lynch comes in, gives an impassioned speech that somehow motivates the entire team to the best performance that we have seen all year. That is the problem. The problem is that they're listening to Kyle Shanahan over and over and over again. They're disconnected from Kyle. That's what I took away. I took away that they are disconnected from Nick Bosa saying that. Nick Bosa saying, yeah, when you hear Kyle say the same things over and over again, it kind of loses its impact. And so when another guy comes in, like your general manager, and gives an impassioned speech and it gets everyone riled up, I'm just like, what the hell, dude? And Kyle has just admitted this last week, too. Kyle just admitted this last week. He said, I'm not a guy who's going to gather the defense and give a big rah-rah speech. I don't do that for the offense. So why would I do that for the defense? And I'm just like, dude, I'm like, dude, what are we doing? Like, this is a game played by humans. That's typically what head coaches are good at. They're good at motivating. They're good at keeping the team together and doing those kinds of things. And then you have the layers under them that handle the small daily duties and the execution. But Kyle's doing the general manager, player personnel. He's scheming. He's calling the plays. He's doing all of that. So how can you be an emotional leader, a schematic leader, a player personnel guy? Like, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. And so to me, I'm just like, man, that sucks. That sucks that you don't motivate your guys. That sucks that that doesn't exist. That sucks that doesn't exist. And again, that was before this game. That was before the Cardinals game. To me, it just again continues to stand out, because the point of what I'm trying to say is, again, part of the conversation that we had about the offseason, it feels like no one has, that was the point, is that it feels like the impact of Kyle doesn't penetrate the ears of these players. And so what to try to to put that and conceptualize that into a very simplistic way, to me, when I hear Bosa say that and I see the team respond to John Lynch, to me, I see the team is not with Kyle Shanahan. That's what I see. I take all the information of this last 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, and I've been piecing it together step by step, 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 step by step. We have been grabbing nugget, put it on timeline, put it on timeline, put it on timeline, put it on timeline, make it linear. And you just look at the whole linear thing. Starting in January, hell, you go back to the QB1 episode that I did in July. It started week 5 against the Dolphins. And you put everything on a linear line to where we are right now, it makes 100% sense why we're here, man. It makes a lot of sense. And unfortunately, that to me is the most scariest thing, is that if Kyle Shanahan has lost this organization and he has lost the locker room and he's lost the fan base, like what do you do? Are we so what do you do? Because that's the worst thing you can have happen as a coach. It's the worst thing you can have happen as a manager, right? They take the football away from it. Say you're a manager at your work. Say you're um I don't know, a VP, you're a director, you oversee an entire department, the department answers to you, you have like manager, like all that kind of stuff. Like you're responsible for everything that happens underneath you. And you've had bad managers, you've had bad bosses, you know what it's like. You know what it's like to have people that only care about themselves. I'm not saying this is Kyle. I'm just speaking in generalities. You know what it's like to have people that are out for themselves. They kind of soak off of your accomplishments and make it seem like it was their accomplishment. As a result, it creates a toxic work environment. It kind of feels like we have a toxic work environment on our hands. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? I'm gonna poll the chat here. Does it feel like, we talk about locker room continuity? I'm huge on locker room continuity. Does it feel like does it feel like this is a toxic work environment? It does to me. Um, it does to me. Uh, Brad, can we sign Ha Clinton to South practice? I talked about this the other day. I talked about how dumb it was for him to not sign with us, to sign to our practice squad. He would have been playing many games already. Stupid. So the question that I posed to the chat is does this feel like a toxic environment to be in? And look at the responses. Yes, yes. Sure does. Yes. 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 Uh and so I think this is part of the problem is once it goes toxic, is it too late? This is why I said earlier that I'm terrified. This is why I said earlier I'm terrified. I'm terrified. There are 33 players under contract in 2021. 33. 33. I believe there's like 24 million cap space with 33 players signed. I think there's like 33. With 33 players, there's like 24 million cap space. Guess what? D Ford, if you were to cut D Ford next year, you would owe him more than keeping him. That was the same thing with this year. They cannot get out of D Ford. D Ford is damn near guaranteed a roster spot next year because, like I said, if they were to cut D Ford, they would owe him more money. They would owe D Ford more money to cut him and say, you know what? It's just, you're hurt, right? It's not working. It's not working. We're gonna have to go in a different direction. We need cap space. Oh wait, if we cut you, we actually owe you more. Oh well, that's probably not going to work. We have no first round picks for the next 2 years. Because what is the solution? A lot of people are saying fire Kyle. And at this point, I understand why you feel that way. But what's on the other side of that? What's on the other side of that? What's on the other side of firing Kyle? What's on the other side of firing John Lynch and the entire staff? What do we get in return? Are we going to get a Texans situation where it's so toxic that that you only get David Culley as your head coach and you get journeyman from the Patriots who's going to bring Patriot way over and try to replicate it in the Texans and probably not going to work out? Like what do you get? What do you get? What prizes do you get from firing Kyle Shanahan? You don't have first round picks. Your roster in 2022 is huge TBD. You got players under contract. You got players that need to be extended. Um, it seems daunting. It seems daunting. Travis said, "Y'all mad now? Wait till Monday." Kyle and Jimmy getting booed off the field. Does Kyle survive? Does Jimmy drag him down with him? So, we made a big deal about Kyle Shanahan's podcast appearance with Sean McVay and Peter Schreger. So your question says, does Kyle survive or does Jimmy drag him down with him? Uh, this is what Kyle said after he had already drafted Trey Lance. He had already taken him. It was right before OTAs, I believe, or it was right after OTAs, one of the two. Kyle, this is Kyle's philosophy, like straight out his mouth. First of all, he started out by saying, "I was never going anywhere without an established quarterback." Well, guess what? He went somewhere without an established quarterback. And he went on to say after that, if you have one of those top 5 guys, meaning one of those top 5 quarterbacks, you can survive anything. And I posed this question before the season started. And I said, "Do we think that Kyle Shanahan can survive Jimmy Garoppolo? Does Kyle Shanahan think that he can survive Jimmy Garoppolo?" And my thought process was no, which is why he did all the things that he did this offseason. That's why. That's what I was like, yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't think he can survive Jimmy. That's why they made a change, except they kept Jimmy. And here's proof. He's showing that he cannot survive Jimmy. And he knew this. This is one of his this is his philosophy for getting a head coaching job that he's been grooming himself for his entire life. Quote, if you have one of those top 5 guys, you can survive anything. So he doesn't have a top 5 guy. Whether you like Jimmy Garoppolo, whether you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, at the end of the day, he's not a top 5 guy. And does it feel like he's going to be able to survive Jimmy Garoppolo? It does not. It's starting not to. It's starting not to. So I that's this now we're entering a lot of unknown. We have a lot of unknown ahead of us. It feels like we're getting a little bit shaky ground with Kyle. Um, so what do we do? What what do we do? Do we fire a coach who's 1 year into a 6-year contract extension along with the GM that would go with him that signed a 6-year contract extension? Do we do that? Who comes in? Who takes over with no first round picks, with limited cap space, limited players, under contract that this new coaching staff and GM team or GM staff or whoever, they're not binded by any of these guys. So like if they were to fire Kyle and John, like, just imagine, like, dropping a bomb on the 49ers and everything they've done since 2017, and just consider that gone. Consider that gone because the new staff would want to bring in their guys, would wanna come in and, manipulate the roster the way they wanna build it. It's gonna be not the same as Kyle. Um, that means this team is like, that's a hard reset. Like a hard reset. Like, you remember what happened when Kyle took over? They went 0-9. The only reason they won games is because they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, get ready for a 4-win season. So that's the thing. It's like I get the frustration, I get the everyone being upset, but I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. I don't know if they're gonna like make a knee-jerk reaction. Again, 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago. You remember the tweet from Jed York where hashtag Kyle started trending? It's literally Jed York taking a photo with Kyle, Parag, and John Lynch and just being like, wow, I love this group. I love what like the future holds for us. Like they're emotionally invested as a group. So again, for that for Jed to fire Kyle, Does Prague get fired? He's the one who handles the contracts. Probably not. So what changes? Like it's just it's a really hard time right now. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we're upset, right? We're we're pissed off. Um lots of unfortunate news coming out. Um yeah, dude, I it's just it's a weird situation. Um it's a weird situation. So that's what we're up against, guys. That's what we're up against. We're up against dysfunction. We're up against again, we really I see there's a lot of people in here. You got 360 people in here. If you guys are new to the channel, it's your first time watching, we have a group. Um we have a group called the Sourdough Squad. That's our group here on Instagram, or I'm sorry, on YouTube. We got a group of really strong fans and really optimistic fans. They keep me honest. I keep them honest. We have a really nice back and forth. Obviously, right now, we're hurting. We're hurting right now. This is the sourdough sad squad right now. It's a sourdough sad squad. Hopefully we'll get out of this. Obviously, like right now, we're venting. We're venting our grievances. We're venting um what we see, what we're adding up, the things that we've been tracking all year, and just again placing it on a linear timeline. Um and just trying to take advantage of it all. So it's it's tough. It's tough. It's tough right now because clearly I know I'm not over here giving a motivational speech about how we are on our don't worry guys, it's a small speed bump. We're gonna come back against the Rams. We're gonna figure it out on Monday Night Football. We're back on track. We're not mathematically eliminated. Da 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 da. But again, it's just the vibe is so off. The vibe is so off right now. And I think that's the hardest part. I think that's the hardest part because again, that's what we've been asking for weeks. What's the problem? What's the problem? Deep down, knowing we know what the problem is. We know where the issues lie. We know how tumultuous this offseason was and how it carried over into the year and just not working. Just not working. So, where do you go from here? What's the next step? And then that's what everyone wants to know. How do we move forward? What's next? The question is, guys, or that basically the answer up until this part, we don't know. I don't know. I wish I had some, you know, guidance. I wish I had some nugget that I don't know, but I'm at a loss. I'm at a complete loss right now. I'm at a complete loss. Again, obviously, I'm feeling a little bit down. My guy McGlinchey goes down for the year. Um, we lost some other guys, things like that. I'm a bit down. So, but at the end of the day, we're all down. Dylan says, when Brad stops being optimistic, it's a very sad day. Yeah, I agree. I really try to look at this team from a lot of optimistic different angles. Um, but as we sit today, Monday, after getting blown out by Colt McCoy and James Conner, it I don't know. Because again, I think what we keep coming back to, man, I think what we keep coming back to is that there's enough talent here to win games. Just look at the Cardinals on the other side. Just look at what happens when they got completely depleted. Their heart, their motivation, that did not change. In fact, it looks like it went up a notch. And that's how good teams win. That's why good teams go far. That's a huge part of it. That is a huge part of it. The mentality in the locker room, the rallying the troops, the circling the wagons. It's us versus them, us versus the world. That type of mentality, that you can foster in locker rooms is so powerful. But when it's not fostered properly, it can be equally as powerful, but in a negative direction. And so ultimately, if I have to give my 2 cents on why this is occurring, that's why. The locker room isn't right. The locker room is disjointed, and I think it's pretty clear that we can pinpoint and we can talk about, um coach is going after y'all in the chat. Coach is a legend around here, though. Coach is a legend. He can pop off when he wants. He's earned that. Um But yeah, it's unfortunately a situation right now for the 49ers where they're kind of in a lose-lose situation. Um, how do you correct this? I guarantee you with each and every loss, the locker room is spiraling deeper and deeper out of where they want to be. Um, I know, and I also look at guys like George Kittle. I scouted George Kittle at Iowa. George Kittle was my draft crush. The 49ers select him in the 5th round. Like, George Kittle is one of the first players on the team to follow me on Instagram. I have been scouting George Kittle since before he was a 49er, starting in Iowa to the combine to the draft. Then we draft him. Then I'm scouting. Kittle's one of my favorite players and has been one of my favorite players since before he was a 49er. This week, Kittle at the podium, I've never seen that Kittle. How many years has Kittle been here? How many years has Kittle been here? I've never seen that Kittle. I've never seen that. I've never seen that mentality. I've never seen that. It's hard to explain, but you could tell he is not happy. You could tell he was angry. You could tell he's pissed. And I know Kittle. I know Kittle well enough to understand he sees everything on social media. He sees it all. He might not respond to it. He might not, engage with it, but he sees everything. The George Brittle, the trade Kittle's trap. He sees all of it. And to see George Kittle come up to the podium and just look dejected, that to me is a perfect like microcosm of the locker room. That's the guy. That's the guy in that locker room. That's the emotional leader. That's the hype man. That's the energy guy. That's who Kittle is. Kittle is good energy, good vibes all the time, always. And to see George Kittle come out last week just looking pissed, it wasn't a good pissed. Like where you see a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, he's motivated to do well." And I really tried to you know, spin it that way. And I think he was. He was clearly motivated. He popped off 6 for over 100 and a touchdown. He had a good game for his first game back. But boy, from a scouting the person who I've scouted George for a long time. I've never seen George like that. I've never seen George come out like that and talk to the media like that. Have that vibe about him. Have that like aura that was negative. He was vibrating on a real negative level. Um, and that's important to football players. That's in football. That's important. That's what football is. Football, like after you get through all the preparation, all the practice, all the repping, all the technique driven things, after you get through all of that, football is a game of emotion. Football is a game of ups and downs. That's why all of it together, your emotional leaders being down, your head coach not being the motivator that you need him to be based on the offseason that occurred, and you're like you see it. You see it. Everyone is down. Everyone is vibrating on a level that is not beneficial to winning games. Because again, at the end of the day, football is a human game played by humans and it's all emotion. That's what it is. It is emotion. You're out there fighting. These guys prepare for games like it's war. Like it's absolute war. And that takes a toll on you in of itself. in of itself. So the guys that can keep high energy, can keep good attitudes, can keep a smile on their face. You don't see that. You don't see George Kittles like that across the league because there's so many things that go on behind the scenes in the NFL, the business of football. And I think the business of football has effectively destroyed this locker room. And I think that's the hardest part. So how do you move forward from that? I don't know. I don't know. It feels a bit deflating. It feels a bit deflating because obviously the tune would be completely different today. The tune would be completely different today. If the 49ers won that game, oh my goodness. If the 49ers won that game against Colt McCoy, Christian Kirk, Rondell Moore, James Conner, I still would have celebrated like it was a goddamn Super Bowl because I knew the 49ers needed that momentum to break this streak of negative energy. They needed it. They had to have it. They had to absolutely have it, but they did not show up. The energy was not there. It was dead on arrival. What did they all talk about? Oh, it felt good. It felt good before the game, but then the game started and it was like, what happened? What happened? Again, anyone who's been in a toxic relationship, toxic work environment, you know what happens when you have to perform and you have a toxic relationship with your manager, your significant other, um, a coach. Like enough people have been in enough situations to understand what it's like to be in a situation that you deem toxic and it have an effect on your performance, right? So we pulled the chat earlier. We said, do you feel like this locker room's at a level of toxicity? Like, do you feel like it's toxic? And pretty much the whole chat said, yes, it feels like it's toxic. And so, okay. And the question that keeps being asked, why is the team performing like this? It's because of the locker room. Something is off. Something is not right. We can speculate about what is not right and why it's not right. But at the end of the day, it's up to the coach and it's up to the players. So it's tough, man. It's tough. It's absolutely tough because typically, when we've gone through these situations in the past, we are able to, okay, we'll talk about the issues that are at hand, and we'll be able to talk about at least the ranges of outcomes that follow, whether they're negative or whether they're positive. Like, okay, well, we could lose this game and XYZ could occur, but we could also win this game and XYZ occurs. In this situation, like if the 49ers lose against the Rams, and again, the type of way they lose matters. If they come out and there's no energy, they're flat, uh, they're just bleh, just poor execution again, poor energy, blah, 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 on national TV. Yo, yo, be careful. Today might feel bad. That Monday could be even worse after that Monday Night Football game. Like, because do we feel like the 49ers are going to have the Rams come in here and beat the Rams? The Rams are angry. They just got beat on national television. They got something to prove. They got something to prove. Well, okay. They weren't necessarily flat. They weren't necessarily flat. It's being able to withstand the adversity because they did come out firing. They were able to move the ball, but then you get a fumble, right? I believe the defense gets the ball back. They put together a little drive and then they get a stop. 49ers get the ball back, fumble immediately. And from that moment of that second fumble, the energy was gone, was absolutely gone. It was like, and it felt like there was a nervous energy surrounding that game before that occurred. It felt nervous. It was that same. I did not have as good of a vibe that I thought I would when that game started. I thought it was like I had a great vibe going into the game, but I too, once that game started, it was like, what happened? Why does it feel like this? And I think you saw exactly what happened as a result is that there's an energy issue. There's something going on with connectivity of players to coaches, players to players. You get players fighting each other. You get Josh Norman fighting with Tavon Wilson, trying to fight the other team's coach, trying to fight other players. It just and after that point, it was like, oh God, oh God. So, did they come out flat? No, not necessarily, but they were flat the second adversity hit. And that's the problem is we know adversity is going to hit. It's football. This is football. Mistakes happen. 100% guaranteed. Like, can you imagine going into a game and be like, "All right, I'm only going to try to make 5 mistakes today. That's it. 5 mistakes. That's it." Just limit it to just at least 5 mistakes. That's it. Like mistakes are coming. That's why football is what it is. That's why it's a mental game. That's why it's the human element matters because when adversity strikes, who stands up to the adversity and says we're going to bounce back? I didn't see a team stand up to the adversity and say, "Hey, we're going to bounce back." So to me that's flat. To me that's no energy. To me that this team has too much talent, too many pieces around them to be flat in that instance. You got to come out. You got to respond to adversity. You can't wait until the very last drive of the second half to get points on the board. Um, because at that point you're in a fighting mentality now. The vibe changes. The vibe changes to fight. We got to fight together and we got to stick together and we got to fight. But when this team is fractured and disjointed, that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to galvanize a group of men that are already disjointed, right? Like, let's be honest. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. It is really hard to galvanize a group of people that are disjointed. So how do you move forward? I don't know. I don't know. So that's why they didn't respond well to adversity. We know adversity is going to happen. Like, come on, give me a break. That's what football is. Football, that's why they play the game. It is adverse in nature. That's why we love comebacks. That's why we love teams that don't give up no matter how badly the odds are stacked against them. That's why I'm looking across the other team at the Cardinals, down their starting quarterback, down their wide receivers, down their running back, and you wouldn't even be able to tell. Wouldn't even be able to tell. And that's the difference between those two teams. That's the difference. So, you know, a tough situation. Um, I've been talking a lot, clearly. I've had a lot to say, but I will take some questions. So if you guys do want to drop some questions in the chat, you kind of want to drive some of these talking points, go for it. Drop your questions in the chat. We'll pull them up and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it as a group, all that good stuff. Who builds a stadium with a huge gap in to let out all the crowd noise? I don't want to talk about the stadium, man. I don't mind the stadium as much as other people. Again, I was there. I was in the stadium for the NFC Championship game. It was absolutely it was the best environment I've ever watched a sports game. NFC Championship game. I've been to a ton of games at Oracle Arena when the Warriors still played in Oakland, and it was the loudest venue in all of sports. Um, so I have some comparisons, and I really felt like the NFC Championship game, um, Levi's became alive. But again, you these fans want to cheer, man. These fans want to cheer. They do, trust me. But you got to give them something to cheer for. Yep, Sanu might go to IR. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. When does Lance get the torch, if he does at all? I don't know. I don't know. Like I think Kyle's said it multiple times. He's like, we technically aren't going to make a switch until we're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So they're not mathematically eliminated. Again, this team rallies behind Jimmy. So I don't necessarily seeing that occurring unless they absolutely have to. But again, who knows? That nothing from my perspective is going as it should go. So who knows what happens? Who knows? Um, who knows? Coach says, keep it a buck. D'Amico got out coached and the offense fumbled twice. AZ played on us, zeroing in on Colt and screened up. Yeah, 100%. Offense moved up and down the field. Call it straight without emotions. Yeah, all that occurred as well. But again, it's an emotional game. So without the emotions there for the players, that also is a huge factor. D'Amico got out coached. Yeah, it wasn't a good experience. They weren't able to stop plays that were happening behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. It just wasn't occurring. It wasn't happening. Then there at the end, they were bringing random blitzes while leaving the middle of the field wide open and making it a layup for these guys to continue to get first downs. It's again what it's like being disjointed. The defense was doing okay until they got put into a bad spot by the offense. When they got put into a bad spot by the offense, it was done. It was cookies. It was over. Like they were just reeling and playing from behind. They got no, like, half the defensive roster has been decimated. Um, it's just a tough situation. It's just a tough situation, man. Um, do you think the offense we ran the first 2 days of pads with Lance will return next year? I don't know. I'll never understand that sequence. I will never understand that sequence of training camp. I will never understand it. Never understand it. I'll never understand it. They barely played Trey Lance behind that first team O line. Didn't even give him a shot, basically. So it's tough to see. It's tough to see. Do they think Sermon is already on his way out? Meaning in the next, it feels like that. It feels like that. When you come on now, it's 2021. You do anything to your social media, guys like me, we're all over it. We see it. We know what that means. We've been like there's social reporting that exists. That is a thing. People who report on social media activity. That's something that I do a lot. I report and make news and content based on players' social media activity. I've seen this many a time. I've seen this from players outside this team. I've seen it from players on our team. And when this occurs, it's not good. No, it is not good. Especially in today's age when you know how much branding matters. For the third round running back to go to go remove 49ers from everything social media related. Ooh, red flag. That's a big red flag. Not good. How y'all gonna feel if Jimmy starts this week? I have no problems if Jimmy starts this week, because, like I said, they're not mathematically out, so that means that Jimmy's probably gonna ride this thing out. Especially like what we talked about earlier. If this locker room's playing for Jimmy, that's probably why we haven't seen Trey. It's because of the pressure from the locker room. You had Alex Mack come out a couple weeks ago saying, "Yeah, Trey's cool and all, but Jimmy's our quarterback. Like, and we're gonna go out there and win with Jimmy." And that's awkward, man. And it's not to at a detriment to Trey Lance, but again, you put your guys in that position to have to pick. It's human nature. It's human nature, and that's going to create awkwardness as a result. Um, should fans boycott since Jed thinks he can hack up prices with a team that hasn't won at home in a year? Now, This is a question way above my pay grade. I'm not in those meetings. I don't see their forecast plan in front of me. It's not there. I don't have that. I can't see how they forecast, and I guarantee you these ticket prices and things like that, it's all on a schedule. There is a schedule in place where things kick in. They have an expectation of when prices go up, XYZ. This is mapped out. They've got this figured out. This is way beyond uh me in regards to the way they work their prices. Like I said, they're a business at the end of the day. They're a business. Their interests are making money. And so when it comes to things like that, they have plans that are in place with kickers and dates and times that all certain things kick in. Like, so the thing about the price jack, the timing is not good. Likely, probably better to do something like that when you're winning. Um, but when you're losing, it hurts. It hurts a lot more. The boycott situation. Um, I don't know if you feel like that will give you some peace of mind, then go for it. But I really think at the end of the day, we they know how upset fans are. Thanks to social media. Oh, they know. You go look at John Lynch's recent tweet congratulating Bryant for getting into their Ring of Hall of Fame, the 49ers Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor or whatever they call it. Go look at the responses. It's brutal. They know. Oh, they know. Trust me. They're not dumb. They have social media. They can read. Who knows? Maybe one of them's watching this right now. Like they know. They need to know. It would be reckless and irresponsible not to know what the people who ingest and pay money for your product think of your product. It would be irresponsible and reckless. So I fully imagine they are. You can boycott. You can not put your money towards them, but they know. Oh, they know. Trust me, they know, and they're probably scrambling right now. What message does that send to the rookies? Yo, the rookies, man. Trey Lance has been mismanaged. Aaron Banks has been mismanaged. Ambry Thomas has been mismanaged. Diamador Lenore has been mismanaged. Talano Hufunga has been okay. And maybe mismanaged is the wrong word. Probably is the wrong word. Um, it feels mismanaged. But from a motivational standpoint, I don't know. I wouldn't be very motivated to be in that locker room right now. Yeah, so Sermon's already pissed, man. He's so it's already turning out to look like that the trade up to go get Sermon is turning out to look like a huge mistake. Um, yeah, it's tough. Uh Again, the what we talked about, how does this happen? How do you get out coached by the Cardinals not having Murray, Hopkins, Green, and Watt as heart? Comes down to motivation, comes down to heart, comes down to the human element. Who wants it more? Who's together more? Who's about that life more? Right now, the Arizona Cardinals are. They absolutely are. We can't say a dang thing. Could be. Could be. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the injury does to Mike McGlinchey and his potential prospects of getting more money somewhere else. I don't know. I don't think Mostert's returning. I've talked about that quite a bit. Um, I just don't think they pay him what he wants. Um, I just don't think they pay him what he wants. Uh, you left your hearts in San Francisco. So funny thing, you see this Joe Montana right here. This Joe Montana. Um, that's a signed Joe Montana photo. He did it with a super dope gold pen. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've never seen anything from Joe Montana like this that he signed like this. He signed his name, Joe Montana, and then right below it, he said, "I left my heart in San Francisco." It's one of the most goated, heartbreaking uh autographs that's probably in existence. I mean, Like, it's Joe Montana in a 49er jersey, signed by Joe Montana, gold pen, signs Joe Montana, and right under it, he says, "I left my heart in San Francisco." And we know the story. He got his ass traded. Uh, he got guess what? He got picked over for Steve Young, and he got traded to the Chiefs. And he's still sour. I know he's still sour. He's sour. He's sour. 100%. And that's what happens. Yeah, we can say it's a business all we want, but it's a business of humans, and so humans have emotions. The goat has emotions. He's sour. Oh, he's sour. What is one positive thing you can say about this year so far? Ooh, one positive sucks because I felt like Mike McGlinchey had really taken a step forward. I felt like Mike McGlinchey had improved. I felt like Mike McGlinchey had gotten a lot better. I really do. I think Mike McGlinchey took big strides from 2020 to 2021. I thought he really did. I thought that was a positive. I thought Charlie Warner's development has been a positive in the blocking game. I thought Jalen Moore has been a positive. I thought Trent Williams has absolutely been one of the lone diamonds on this team. His play week in and week out is next level. Um, I thought Aziz Al Shair has been a positive. I know he had a rough game, and fans are coming down his road against the Cardinals. But you look at the entire body of work from Aziz, and Aziz has had a good season, 100%. Some other guys that have had decent years, positive wise. I think Lincoln Tomlinson has had a pretty solid year. I feel like that's been a positive. I feel like Alex Mack's been a positive, even though a lot of people only see the miscues and come after him. But I think he's been a big difference to that offensive line. Elijah Mitchell's been a positive. Debo Samuel's been a positive. Trent Sherfield was positive. He disappeared. So there are positives. There are. There are. It's just we have a cloud. The Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason cloud is still here. It hasn't left us. It hasn't left us. It has not. Um, no, I don't think the 49ers lost because of Jimmy. No. There are other games that I do believe that. That was not one of them yesterday. That was a team loss. That was a brutal loss. But it didn't come at the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo. I felt like Jimmy played a clean enough game. Jimmy's never going to play a perfect game. I've accepted that. He's not the most accurate guy, but he's doing okay, and he wasn't the reason why they lost, in my opinion. Um, who was the players not wanting OBJ? I'm not going to out the players. Um, I'm not going to do that. Uh, I know why you want to know, but I'm not. And to clue you guys in, I obviously put up a poll on Instagram. A lot of players look at my Instagram stories. And I had a couple vote no against OBJ. I'm not going to out them. I'm not going to say who they are because again, like they have that level of privacy with their interactions with me. I'm not going to out them. I'll share the story, but I'm not going to out them. This is not. I don't. It's not our vibe. It's not how we do things. Um, let's see. I'm way behind. Let me catch up, man. I'm way behind on these questions. I am so far behind. So I'm gonna start working backwards. Uh let's see. Uh what other questions you guys got for me? Uh Coach, fill me in. What exactly you're gonna have to remind me what I was saying. I've said a lot. I've been on a live for an hour and 45 minutes now. I've said a lot. You're gonna have to remind me. Ellis says the extra effort equals fumbles, the DBs equals touchdowns. Some of these questions are wild, man. Um, Man, you guys are fierce in the comments today. You guys are fierce in the comments today. Um, and this is a fact. This is absolutely a fact. And I think it's something that our fan base has a really hard time with. I think they expect perfection, and when they don't get it, they get really upset. And it's like, well, you're kind of setting yourself up to be upset because to expect something that is unobtainable kind of is silly, right? It's kind of silly, right? To expect something to occur that is probably 100% chance of failure. No one ever is going to play perfect. It's rare. It's rare when you come out and you got someone blocking a perfect game, catching a perfect game, throwing a perfect game, running a perfect game, coaching a perfect game. Perfect in football are not synonymous. They are not. It's the opposite. It's who can overcome the most mistakes. That's the real test right there. Um, do I think Banks starts? I I would have to imagine. I would have to imagine at some point. I'm not. Brunskill has had a rough couple weeks. I think a little bit better than a lot of people have made it out to be, but he has struggled in spots. Um, I don't know. Everything that I've heard about Banks is it's just about grasping the playbook, those kinds of things. From a measurable standpoint, he sounds like they like him. They're just trying to get him up to speed with the technique, working in tandem, understanding the playbook, I guess. So we'll see. We'll see. I talked about this too when I covered training camp. I was like, man, if you have any developing that you need to do as an offensive lineman, NFL training camp is not the place to do it. You get so many limited reps. That's a tough spot to be in. Super tough spot to be in. Do you think we completely rebuild or a complete rebuild could be necessary? That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. If they fire and clear house, that's what's coming. It's a full-blown rebuild. Like full like again, remember 0-9 Kyle Shanahan in his first year? Get ready for that next year. I don't maybe not, maybe Trey Lance is able to develop and get if that were to happen, got married together with the right coach. I don't know. I don't bank on that happening though. They need a complete retool. They need a complete retool. They're gonna have to this roster is gonna look a lot different. This roster is gonna look a lot different. Uh, let's see. I think a lot of this, again, I haven't studied the defense as closely as I'd like to. I've been trying to really focus on the offense and get to the bottom of why this offense is having such a difficult time. I would imagine not having stout defensive tackles up front is is hard. It's hard when linebackers don't have your Javon Kinlaws, your DeForest Buckners. They finally moved Eric Armstead into the inside. But when you don't have big space eaters on the interior like that of your defensive line, it allows offensive linemen to get to the second level with a lot of ease. So that means that you're not able to read and react like you want to. You're getting blocked a lot easier because they have free paths to you. They're beating you to your spot. It's a big part of linebackers playing well is the defensive linemen keeping offensive linemen off the linebackers. If you can give your linebackers the opportunity to flow sideline to sideline, then that's how they go and make plays. But if your defensive line is can't do that, then offensive linemen getting the second level without problems is going to make it a lot harder. And two, you can also be pressing a leader like Fred. He's going to take on a lot of the responsibility. He's going to take on and do a lot of that and potentially press too much. He could be putting too much on his plate. He could be overworked. He could be overstressed. He understands that the defense is at a disadvantage, and that's his group. He takes that personally. So as a result, that could stress him too. And he could press all that stuff. Yeah, and I went on to say that mismanage was the wrong word. Mismanage wasn't the right word that I used. Basically, though, saying because the original question was like what's the confidence or what is the message that it sends to the rookies, and to the rookies they're getting a trial by fire. That's the message that they get. Now mismanage is, like I said, wasn't the correct word. It was more about the environment that they're in and what that means, and um it probably doesn't build a ton of confidence for them. um Trey can save us. We'll find out, man. That's what it's gonna come down to. That's what it's gonna come down to. Is Trey Lance gonna save Kyle's career with the 49ers? Because it feels like with each passing game that they lose, that Kyle's losing grasp of all the things that he's built up until this point. So if his last ace in the hole right now is Trey Lance. So, but that's scary too because Mike Silver again put out a report today um that his confidence is hurt a little bit. So, it's a mess. It's a mess, guys. It's a mess. Um Is Shanahan's playbook 100 times more complicated than other playbooks? Why is it so difficult for players to digest so they cannot succeed? A big part of being a coach is being a teacher, right? We heard that a lot throughout the interviews process and things like that. And you got to be able to teach, and you got to be able to teach multiple ways to multiple people. Everyone ingests and digests information differently. What the way you motivate player X and teach player X is going to be a lot different than motivating and teaching player Y. I think that's what you see. You see Debo Samuel thriving. You see a guy like Brandon Ayuk declining. It's probably Kyle using the same exact coaching style. One's fit to be able to work with that style. One sounds like they're not. So the playbook, I don't know the complexity. The zone scheme is a very manageable scheme, in my opinion. When it comes to running, I think that's really easy to teach zone schemes, and then build play action games off that and all kinds of stuff. The passing game for offensive linemen is what it is. It doesn't really change too much. Um, yeah, so I don't know, but it is complicated. It is complicated. It is his playbook. That there's a lot of players that talk about that, and I think he's very meticulous about what he's looking for. Mark says, if we drop Shanny, who do we have to fill in? Because there's going to be teams quick to call him. Like, come on, what are we doing? I agree. I agree. Who who steps in? That's the problem with the fire Shanahan movement. Is that what's the answer? Once like you don't just not have a coach and a general manager anymore. You fire Kyle. You're firing the entire everything he's built. All those coaches leave. A lot of those players leave with him, and you have no first round picks for multiple years. Who's coming in to save that? Last time I checked too, our fan base isn't the easiest to work around. We are not a forgiving fan base. We put a lot of pressure on our guys, whether it's players, whether it's the coaches. We do. So there's a lot at play. Do we look like an attractive destination for a high level coach? Hey, come on over to the 49ers. Look at how we just ran out our head coach and GM. You want to come join us? Come through. Come on, join us. Take us back to the promised land. But you get no first round draft picks, and you got not a ton of money to work with. You got a player like D Ford who you're gonna have to pay, but probably won't play for you. He's gonna take up about 24 million in cap. I don't know if that's how much. I think he's double digit cap though. It's tough. Yeah, it's like that's the flip side of it. What the we're probably gonna do film breakdowns the rest of the week. Mondays typically vent session, especially if we lose. Which is what today is a big old vent session. It's kind of therapy session mixed together. Just talking about the issues and what happened. And then we'll dive in because I still got to study. So I got to do the tape study. Tape study comes tonight. Then we'll probably do film breakdown tomorrow. Trench Tuesday. Shout out Sean for Trench Tuesdays. So we'll probably do film breakdown starting tomorrow. And I'm not super excited to get into this tape. I think it's gonna make me upset. Because one of the things about the tape all year is that I thought it's gonna be worse, but then I've gotten into it and I'm like, oh, it's actually not that bad. It's a little thing here, it's a little thing there, very minor, all correctable. But I don't have high expectations for this tape. I don't. Um I don't understand that question. So it is what it is, man. It's a tough year. There's going to be a lot of questions. Again, if they keep losing, I know there's no faith right now that the 49ers can come out and beat Matt Stafford and the Rams on Monday Night Football at home again. Um, so it's got to be Sherfield. Sherfield's got a ball. Give it to Sherfield. Um, Yeah, we've been getting gashed in the wide nine. Again, a big part of that when you don't have the big, you can't run wide nine when you don't got like the most intimidating uh three techs and one techs in the middle. Like you just can't. You just can't. It's a recipe for disaster. Um yeah, trading DeForest Buckner, I think, and he's also saying the negligence of the defensive backs ruined the elite defense, mismanaged. Yeah, I think it all kind of started to collapse when they traded DeForest Buckner. Again, we talk about the human element. The human element started with DeForest Buckner getting traded. That's when it started. That's when it started. Hey, and again, like it is what it is. I'm contemplating if I should say this or not. I don't know if I should say it. But this isn't the first corner. DeForest Buckner wasn't the first cornerstone player they tried to trade. Oh, they tried to trade other leaders, not named Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, they have. Oh, they have. I don't want to say who. Um, but they absolutely have. And I think that mentality is that nice shine that was on the 2019 year, they kind of killed that. They kind of killed that, man. 49ers offense is so concerned about Yak that they forgot to take care of the football. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, I don't fault guys too bad for fighting for every single yard, and then unfortunately, someone comes in from behind and punches it out. It's hard, man. It's hard, you know. It's not for lack of effort. It's not for. It's not. It's not a part of that. It's not a part of that. No, I don't want. I really don't. It's not a good time. It's not a good time to say it. It's not a good time. Maybe later. Maybe later I'll have a more emphatic. It's not a good time. Like if I was truly in the business of getting clicks and doing all that kind of stuff, then yeah, that makes sense. I would do it. But I don't want it to. So I apologize. I shouldn't have said anything. Shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my fault. I shouldn't have said anything. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. I was like, should I is this no, it's not the good. That's not the time. It's not the time. It's absolutely not the time. So like I said though, there's a lot of things that have started with the DeForest Buckner. It trickled into other players potentially getting moved, almost getting moved, then not getting moved. Um, it kind of set a bad. I think it set a bad tone. I think, and again, so when you trade DeForest Buckner, right, leader, Joe Staley talked about it. I was going to pass the torch of leadership to DeForest Buckner. Okay, you trade DeForest Buckner. All right, okay. Oh, that's weird, but okay, we can make it make sense. For other reasons, we sign that guy, we get this guy, we get draft pick. Okay, well, okay, make it make sense. Another player of who wears a C on his chest almost got traded. Okay, it didn't happen. He's still around. Um, then the other player, and they trade Quan that year too. Remember, they traded Quan, 2020. They traded Quan. Did I skip a super chat? I'm terrible at this today. You guys have honestly been the comments have been wild, so I've been missing it. Why? And I don't know why it's not showing up for me like it normally does. Let's see. Super chat. Oh, didn't mean to come off that way with the OBJ poll. I don't know. I might have missed it. I don't know. I'm sorry, Dylan. I'm uh I'm all over the place. Oh, oh no, you're good, Dylan. Dylan, you're good. It's the same concept right now. Like clearly, clearly there are other things that I apologize for missing that. That's my bad. I've missed a couple today. I'm all over the place. Hey, I'm just like the team right now. I'm just like the team. I'm disjointed. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. So again, the point of what I was trying to say about the DeForest Buckner thing. They have shown time and time again that no one is above trading. No one is above moving off of. Not just DeForest. There have been other moves that haven't been made that we know about. I know about. But then you again continue the road down. In 2020, they trade Quan Alexander. Quan Alexander was a leader in that room. They respected Quan Alexander, and then keep going on. And then what is this whole offseason about? It's all about trading. It's all about trading Jimmy Garoppolo. So they have shown from a managerial perspective that no one is safe. Literally, no one is safe. So that doesn't build a ton of confidence. That doesn't build a ton of confidence with the locker room. It doesn't. How does that build confidence when all the emotional leaders are either traded, dangled in trade, talked about? Like, no respect. No respect. Uh Jimmy Ward. I spoke to Jimmy Ward. When I was speaking to Jimmy Ward, he talked about Parag. He talked about Parag and the way they lowball players constantly. You've heard the term "come correct." That came from Jimmy Ward. The 49ers need to come correct. They don't come correct very often. Oh, pain. I hate rehashing old stuff. I hate rehashing old stuff. All right, how do we switch? How do we get something positive going? I agree. I agree. I'm heading down. I don't like rehashing old stuff. That makes me angry. Um, So the counterpoint to this, as I hear what you're saying, Luke, Luke's essentially saying it's a business. It comes with the territory. It absolutely does. But again, these are human beings. They're not robots. They're not. It doesn't matter how much we say they are. It doesn't matter how much we treat them like robots. They have feelings. And when you have these types of situations with the emotional leaders of your team, it's just like anything else, it trickles down. If if the most secure guy on the roster can get moved, how does the last guy on the roster feel? How does the middle tier guy on the roster feel? There's a lot of anxiety that comes from not knowing about your job security. So I understand, I get it. I don't think anyone thinks they're above that. But again, when you move the leader, discuss moving another leader, then move a leader in Quan, then spend all off season trying to trade Jimmy, that sets a tone. There is a tone that is set of, oh, well, it doesn't matter how hard we work. Just like DeForest Buckner said, doesn't matter what I did off the field, on the field, I did everything right, and I still got traded. Again, that has an impact on human beings in a locker room. There's a positive. Yeah, let's do this. Let's switch it up. Let's switch up the vibe. I'm tired of talking about negative stuff. We've been talking about negative stuff for 2 hours. Drop me a positive. Drop positives in the chat. Drop positives in the chat. Let's go. Drop the positives in the chat. What's positive? Jimmy is still a handsome bastard, 100%. That dude walked about 5 feet away from me in training camp this year. I'm telling you, I'm like, "Oh my goodness. That man is beautiful." Like, it's like, literally, the reason why everyone jokes about it on the team is like it's like, "Dude, you look like you were made in a factory." Like, what the hell? Um, Mitchell's our next best running back. I agree. I think Mitchell's fantastic. Um Let's see, what other positives do we have? Drop positives in the chat. What's positive from this year? What's positive from yesterday's game? Is there positives? Um, I like our red and gold. There you go. Is Ayuk's game up from here? I hope so. I hope so. I think Ayuk has been playing some pretty good ball lately. I think so. There we go. We're one game out of the wild card. Let's go. We're not out yet. We're not out yet. We're fighting, man. We're coming for see, this is the typical tone after a loss, like when especially when they're mathematically in it. Like this show is obviously a lot of things compiling on top of each other, and it became event session and it became all the like the issues. But honestly, this is what would typically occur in any other season. It'd be like, oh, we're only down one, we can still get back into this, we can still turn the tide, we can still get back on the right track. It just doesn't feel like that's gonna happen. I don't know, man. I don't know. Who are some who are some possible coaches to help the Niners? I'm not ready to go there quite yet. Not ready to go there quite yet. Um, sus pause. Nah, bruh. Nah, you know the vibes. You know the vibes. This is true. That's a very positive. That's positive. Residency's legit, man. Residency's legit. I got them all back here. We got them all back here. Residency's legit. If you want that discount code, let me know. I'll drop it. You want that residency discount code? I'll drop it. It's a lot easier to talk about merch and stuff when we're either winning or things are positive. I don't want to drop stuff on you guys when we're all upset. Um, oh, you tell me, Brad, what's positive? Whew. Sheesh. Um, what's positive? I mean, we talked about it. We listed a bunch of players that I like and I think have been doing well. That same thing still is there. Elijah Mitchell being a 6th-round draft pick, being able to ball out like he is, it's great. Absolutely great. Arden Key got a sack. That was cool. first sack with us. There's a lot of like individual positives. I think with some guys and their development. But I think it's the cloud. I think it's the cloud over the team that just makes it harder. Makes it harder. Mitchell's a rare combination of speed and power. Yeah, I agree. We do. We still have a chance. Let's go. So you're saying there's a chance. Yep, there is a chance. 100%. 100%. Playoffs. Talking about playoffs. Oh yeah, are you ready for the Kool-Aid? I'm trying to stir it up. I'm trying to stir up the cherry Kool-Aid, trying to get it going. Kittle is back. Very true. It's good to see Kittle balling, man. There we go. I'll take that. That's a win. That's a dub in my book. Um, let's see. Trent has potential. Trent Williams? Trent's a goat. Maybe we're thinking of someone else. You guys are crazy. Robbie Gould is back. I guess. Yeah. I guess. Ayuk has been balling. Ayuk's been balling. Need more of that. Let's see. I'm positive that the season will end. Hufanga is a beast. Oh, we haven't talked too much about the defense, and we really haven't. This defense misses Jaquiski Tart and Jimmy Ward. Oh my goodness. This defense misses Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart. Nothing against Hufanga. I think Hufanga's been good. But they still miss those guys. Those guys were doing a lot for this team on the back end. They were cleaning up a lot of stuff. Especially could have used Ward against Ertz in that situation. Bosa positive is Ayuk is coming around. Drake Greenlaw's coming back. Yeah, hopefully. What else do we got? Armstead looked good besides the bad roughing the passer call. Yeah, it was it was a terrible call in my opinion on the refs. I like Armstead on the interior. I've always liked Armstead on the interior. Will the Niners give Hurd another chance next year? Kind of feels like it. They've kept him on the team for 3 years now. He hasn't played since 2018. It feels like it. It feels like Hurd has got a permanent spot on IR for sure. Let's see. Oh, there's a positive. We drafted a possible franchise guy. Yeah, that's true. Trey Lance is on the squad. He's good. I've seen him with my own eyes. He has all the potential in the world. Just hopefully, we got the right guy to pull it out of him. Oh, Debo or DK? Ooh. That's a toughie. That's actually a tough question for me. Debo Samuel, someone that was a big draft crush of mine. But I don't know, dude. That's tough. Debo's been playing lights out. He's been playing lights out. But then you got the monster and DK on the other side. I stick with Debo for right now. I'll stick with Debo. Again, DK's tantalizing. He is. Let's see. Can't remember what did Ward. He wanted the enforcer. He's all about the enforcer. We tried to change it to the warden. He said no. He said no. It's the enforcer. So okay, never mind. We're not going to try to give you a new nickname. We're going to stick with the one you got. Da, 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 da. Let's see. We're trying to stay positive, so we're looking at positive comments in the chat. Let's see. Hurd has only played preseason. He's never played a real game. Yeah, he's never played a real game. I think they'll keep him for right now. I really believe the 49ers are going to keep Kyle at least one more year. I mean, we're headed down, 2014 territory with like Harbaugh going 8-8 and getting fired. Um, I think they're a little tighter upstairs, meaning like we've talked about Jed, Kyle, Parag, John. I feel like they're a little tighter of a unit. And what ended up being Harbaugh's downfall was the discrepancies that Trent Baalke had with Jim Harbaugh, and then Jed siding with Trent over Jim. So I still think Shanahan's here next year. Um, it would have to take some really bad more bad thing. I mean, we're not even a halfway point. So that's the craziest part. We're we're at the halfway point. Um damn it, we're only at the halfway point. We're only at the halfway point. It's damn it. Um I always personally liked the 3-4 defense. I really do like the three. I like having four athletic linebackers on the field with three interior, one massive nose tackle who eats up double teams, and then you have two of those hybrid defensive ends that like could play edge or could play over the three tech. They're a little bit more athletic than your standard three techs. Justin Smith was the best three tech ever. um, I like the 3-4. Now, I don't see them switching. I don't see them switching. I like the 3-4 though. Ford's going to IR too on top of that. So we definitely don't have the players for a 3-4. Um Positive, we aren't the Lions. There you go. There you go. That's good news. That's good news. At the end of the day, we still got 5 rings to bank on, right? They might not have occurred during our lifetime. They haven't occurred during mine. I think in 94, I was 5 years old in 94. So I only know I mean, yeah, I remember watching Young and Hurst and Jeff Garcia and those guys, but when you're watching as a kid, it is way different than watching now, and being a fan now, as an adult. So all I know is the little glimpse of hope we got with the Harbaugh years, the the pain, little glimpse of hope, pain, little glimpse of hope, and it feels like we're dipping down towards pain again. So that's my experience as a 49ers fan. Um let's see. You guys are active today though, which is crazy. Everyone's active today. Oh, so you're saying bring Fangio? Ooh. Jed passed over Fangio when Fangio was in the building for Tom Sula, so I doubt Fangio finds his way over here. I really don't. Lake and Tomlinson has been good. I agree. Greenlaw about to be active this week. That's good. Go with Trey for the rest of the season. It's gonna get to that point soon. If they don't start winning games, it's absolutely gonna go to Trey soon. That's the only way Shanahan is going to be able to try to build some ill will back. If you can get Shanahan or if you can get Trey Lance in there and they actually start looking like an offense and they start performing and let's say they win a couple games down the stretch and you see games stacking where they're improving, that's what's going to lock in Shanahan. That's what's going to lock in Shanahan is once Trey gets in, what does the offense look like with Trey? How do they manage Trey? Because Trey's the future. So if Shanahan could show improvements and glimpses with Trey, that is going to be the best thing that he can do. But he also has to do it with the proper timing. It's got to be organic, uh, all that stuff. Brad, what was your favorite Super Bowl run year? Whew. I mean, that first year, that first what was it, 2012? Is that it? 2012 was electric. Was so electric how they did it. The 13-3 season the year before in Jim Harbaugh's first year, they had the Kyle Williams game that was a disaster. They come back, bounce back. You have so Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was my first ever draft crush. First ever draft crush. Like when I'm talking about I do scouting now, I've been scouting for 10 years. It all started in or it's now 11 years. It all started in was it 2010 season. They drafted in 2011. Um Whatever. They took Kaepernick in the second round in 2011. He was my first guy, like my guy. Like you guys seen me crush over guys like Brian Burns, CD Lamb, Justin Fields. Kaepernick was the first ever my guy. Um, so that whole period of time was electric. Uh, it was such a fun time being a fan because the way they built the offensive line, Mike Ayupati, like if you see this jersey right here, that's a number 77 Mike Ayupati jersey. Um, I love that team, man. I loved Gore, Staley, Ayupati, Boone. I didn't like Anthony Davis. He's the only guy I didn't like. But I like Kendall Hunter. I like Anquan Bolden. Crabtree was okay. I was never a huge Crabtree guy. Um, but I love that team, man. That was a fun year. And then when Colin Kaepernick took over, and then you see the glimpses of Colin Kaepernick, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I thought he would be when I scouted him at Nevada, running the pistol with Chris Olt out there. Like I totally like this is what I saw. That made me feel good about myself because my team drafted my draft crush, and then get to see my draft crush lead them to the Super Bowl and almost come back and win. Man, that season was special. That was a special year for me. Um, Although the 2019 year was just as fun. It was just as fun, but I think because it was when I was really transitioning from being a casual fan to someone who was like, I'm following every roster move, what they're doing in the draft, who they're targeting in the draft, who they're targeting in free agency, trying to project. That's when I became like this person who now just talks to about the 49ers with 200 other people. Started back then, and it started with this run. So I'd have to say the Colin Kaepernick, Jim Harbaugh run was the first one that just like solidified like my love for covering the sport. 2019 year was fun as hell too, though. 2019 because that was the first year we went when I had my account. So much fun to go through that experience with my account on Instagram and Twitter and watch everything grow. I think I grew like 40,000 followers in 2019. It was a really fun year. Both years were fun, but the first one hurt. I think the first one meant the most, and it also hurt the most. I did not feel nearly as bad as I felt when they lost that Super Bowl in 2012. I felt terrible. I felt like I was sick for weeks. Um, the 2019 Super Bowl loss was just like a bad dream. It's just like it felt bad and it hurt, but it was like a bad dream that I'd lived before. It's like I've been here before. I've lost a Super Bowl before, so I kind of know what it feels like. But yeah, that Harbaugh run, that was special, man. That was special. Um, if you had to hire a coach, who would it be? All right, obviously that means Kyle Shanahan is out because it would be someone to come and replace him. I have an answer. I have a definitive answer of who my coach would be, and that would be Brandon Staley, the head coach for the San Diego Chargers. Um, I think he is one of the best up and coming young coaches. He's a defensive coach. However, he's probably one of the most emotionally intelligent coaches I've ever seen. In regards to how thoughtful he is about everyone and their circumstance and what they went through growing up to leads to who they are now as people and how to connect with those people and how to motivate them and how to say the right things and do the right things. Staley, I think, is one of the best young coaches. I think Staley is one of the best young coaches in the NFL. I think he will become one of the best coaches in the NFL simply for how he manages people. He is a he is one of the most elite managers of people from a head coaching perspective that I have ever seen. Um, instantly, right off the bat. Um, apps and that so I clearly hold that into high regard. I hold that into high regard. So that's one of the struggles that I have with Kyle. Kyle isn't that. Kyle isn't the emotional leader. He's not a rah-rah guy. He doesn't know how to relate to guys at that level, be able to talk to them at that level. He has an expectation. He shows you what it is, he tells you what it is, and he expects you to do it. There's no external motivation. There's no connecting with guys. Like it's either you do it or you suck at it. Give me another guy. And I think we've seen that doesn't necessarily translate into the best development. People don't develop under stressful environments. You need a good environment and to be able to get the best development out of people, whether that's in the workforce, whether that's in sports, doesn't matter. It's all the same. So with Brandon Staley, one of the reasons why I love Brandon Staley, and he is my second, he's my favorite coach right now. That's not Kyle. I know everyone hates Kyle right now, but Brandon Staley right now is my favorite coach, and for that reason. For that reason, because he is so intelligent. He's so smart at being able to connect with his players. Like I said, this is 2021. This is not 1970. This isn't do it my way or the highway or get the hell out of here. That doesn't work today. It doesn't. So for me, I really like Staley. I think Staley is going to be a really good coach. I think, I like the combination of the young quarterback with the defensive head coach who is a motivational leader. I think it's a really good pairing. I think it's a really good pairing. I like what they have. So Staley would be my answer. Staley would absolutely be my answer. I think he's good. Um, he said, I'm sold. How do we get him? We can't. The Chargers would be silly to let him go. Would be silly to let him go. Um, you think we have what it takes inside the organization to turn the boat around, and how would it start? I think the way to get this thing back on track is to kind of lessen the load for Kyle. I think going into next year, I think it would suit Kyle a little bit better to remove some responsibility. Maybe make John Lynch a true general manager. Maybe give him some power to overrule or to make roster decisions that you don't have to be held accountable for at the end of the day. Because again, that's what's happening. Kyle's made roster moves and he's now being held accountable for them. because when the GM, that's why there's a separation. They don't always make the popular move, but there's a level of separation between head coach and GM where the coach can still coach the team and not lose the locker room because at the end of the day, he's not the one quote unquote making the final decision. But in this instance, it is. And so when your head coach is making the final decisions on roster movement, captains of your team getting traded, that has an impact. And so maybe the way it gets back on track is he kind of delegates a little bit. Maybe get a real offensive coordinator or uh, I go back to being a head like be a head coach and oversee and manage, right? That's what head coaches do. They're glorified project managers. That's what they are. I used to be project manager. Um, Head coach is a glorified project manager. He's got all the departments under them. They all got to do what they need to do, and he's got to make sure every single one of them is doing their job. Of course, he'll set the tone, he'll set the plan based on whatever it is, whatever. But he then delegates it to the departments under him to go execute and manage it, and then he manages the people actually doing it. Right now, it feels like he's doing it all and it's just overextended and it's blowing back in his face. And so he can't maneuver the right way because his own decisions are blowing back in his face. Um, so I think that's where I would start is maybe start chipping away at some of his. See you later, Dylan. We appreciate you chilling for like 2.5 hours. So maybe part of it is just delegating a little bit more, taking some off his plate. Maybe giving Adam Peters full autonomy of the draft. Um, I don't know. It's a hard situation. I don't know the entire internal workings. But right now he's the captain. He's the captain of the ship. So that's tough. That's tough, man. Um, you know, I think he's just overextended. Um, so having all the power is good when everything's going great because then you get all the pats on the back. That's what happened the last couple years. Kyle's an offensive genius. He's now one of the best up and coming coaches. All the decisions that he's made worked out, but now we're seeing what happens when they don't work out. There's a reverse trickle when before you get overly praised and overly you get all the accolades that come with having that role. When the things flip and it starts going sour, that also comes onto your doorstep. So right now everything's sour and so it's right square at his doorstep. So it's tough. It's tough, man. Um so as you know, I appreciate you guys too for sticking it out. We've been talking for 2.5 hours. That's the kind of day it's been today. This might be one of my longest lives. That's not the draft or not doing a live game from start to finish. So this this live is long. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of why is this happening? How is this happening? It's, of course, not a lot of positivity and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, we're still fans of this team. Um, the wife's the real MVP. The wife's the real MVP. That's no joke. The wife's the real MVP. Um, but I think at the end of the day, it's a tough situation for all of us. Whether you cover the team, whether you're a fan of the team, whatever it is, it's a tough situation. So we're going to continue to monitor it. We're going to continue to talk about it. Like I said, we got film breakdowns coming tomorrow. Um, we had a lot of people in here, so I appreciate you hopping in. Obviously, the numbers have tallied off a little bit, but if you want to you want to subscribe, we'd absolutely love to see it. It make me feel a little bit better. But understand we have a tough road ahead of us. The season could get worse. It could. So let's take it 1 week at a time. Let's see what happens against the Rams. Let's see. Any given Sunday, right? Any given Sunday. So we don't know. We're not predicting a win. We're not predicting anything. But that option is still out there. There's still an option. The 49ers play a good game against the Rams on national television. As much as I don't kind of believe it saying it, it's still a possibility. So let's take it 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. More losing means more venting sessions. More winning means more victory Mondays. So let's see what happens. If you guys appreciated the conversation, uh, love if you subscribed, came back around. Again, we got the Sourdough Squad over here. Sourdough Sad Squad today. But maybe we'll get back on track to just being the regular Sourdough Squad tomorrow. Let's look at some of the tape. Let's try and pull some positives out the tape to kind of help us get back on track and see what we got. But let's hunker down. Uh, still not even to the halfway point technically. So let's go. We got a lot of season ahead of us. And it's going to be really, really interesting. And we're going to break it down either way. Good or bad. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, probably doing the film breakdown around 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. Again, if you guys do want any residency gear, here's the promo code. Here's where you go get the hats. Plenty of hats in stock still. They do go quickly. So if you do want the hat, that's where you get it. Use the promo code. If you get the order in today, you should still be able to get it before Monday Night Football. So keep that in mind. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow.